As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and we are back at a regular time of Friday evening with my co-host, as always, Andy. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good. It feels almost weird to be back doing this on a Friday night. I got used to doing the Friday mornings, but no, all good. All good. It's been a good week, and yeah, ready to chew the fat, ready to chat nonsense for 2 hours.
So you are now, I'm not going to say deep because it's near the start, but you are now in marathon training, well and truly, aren't you?
Yeah, it feels like I'm in deep because I remember, like, I always seem to just get out of bed every morning and go, just sort of creak, and that remembers. That's the key for me to remember that I'm in marathon training, because I'm just always aching when I wake up. But yeah, feeling good, to be honest. I'm really glad to be getting moving again. And I think when I think about it, over the summer, my training was a little bit. I mean, most people will probably say, something similar when they're not actually training or focused on something in particular. Your training sometimes gets a little bit unspecific and a bit wishy-washy, and so yeah, I feel glad that I've got purpose again, and I feel just excited to be going to have got going again. So yeah, I'm in week 2 now. Started to make the videos.
Yes,
so I
did notice that you're back in the YouTube feed.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting cracking on them. I've made my week 1. That's almost ready to be put out next week. And I made a trailer. Not a trailer, an intro. What I'm going to put on the start of every video, which probably took me way too much time and planning and effort.
Is that the same thing that was on Instagram?
Yeah. So I'm going to use that at the start of every,
nice.
Every episode.
There was some good shots in that.
I've got other people to thank for that, namely my wife. So for one morning, I dragged her out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. So the night before, I was like, look, 6:15 tomorrow. It's going to be scorchio. It's going to be lovely sun. There's going to be some good light. Got to shoot in the light, thinking like a photographer. So we got up, got the drone out. I ran through a couple of fields. We did a few takes. And yeah, Laura just got some drone shots of me running through these fields that we've been exploring at the moment, which is pretty cool. And the funny thing about it is, I'd planned it. I was in a foul mood. You can't see it, thankfully, on the camera, but I was in a foul mood because I'd specifically planned these fields because they were hay fields or wheat or barley or whatever they were. The ones that gently sway in the breeze.
Yeah.
And literally, we turned up there. And within the space of me checking it the night before or the day before and turning up to do this sort of like drone shot, the whole field had been ploughed. So it was just like, you can't really see it from above, but I was seething because it would have looked really good. I don't think anyone cares or could see the difference really, but it was just this beautiful golden field for miles. And the farmer had just decimated it with his combine harvester. But
Well, yeah, but at least you'll be able to have your porridge and stuff. Because
yeah,
the
yeah.
farmer
So
has harvested all the crops.
yeah. So every cloud. No, but so that was good. I managed to get that put together, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting the videos out, because I think a big reason that I like to put the videos out. I know we say this sort of seems to be like a broken record every week, but it's almost like a journal. It's like you sort of you've got it committed to video what you did, and and that's for me is the best bit. Like I'm genuinely, every time I come towards a marathon, I have this thought: you're not going to do another series. It's too time consuming and too much energy goes into it. But then I think, nah, don't be silly. This is the best bit about it: filming the
Yeah,
process. And I think sharing what you do is a big part of 21st century life now. And I think
yeah,
it's quite a good way to grow and learn, and get inspired by others from what they think about what you've done. And I've learned loads from the YouTube community and the online space, like from just putting things out. I've met, us, for example,
hmm
if it wasn't for me putting YouTube or you putting YouTube videos out, or both of us, we wouldn't really be sat here right now, would we? So it's
well,
like,
yeah, exactly.
so, yeah, I just get mega excited by it. And I hit a little third of the way through a target today. I hit 3,333 subscribers today.
Yes, I
So
did see that.
I had always said to myself, all I want from YouTube ever is just 10,000 subscribers. Then I'll just be eternally happy. Whether or not that will ever happen, I set myself a stupid target of doing it within like 3 or 4 years, and that is at the end of next year. So I might run out of time, but
You
yeah,
never know, because once it starts going, it starts snowballing sometimes, and
yeah.
uh, and it just
You've
picks up
just
the
got to
pace.
keep riding that wave, though, haven't you? You've got to
Yeah,
keep putting stuff out, and that's
you,
one thing I'm conscious not to fall into, is to fall
I,
into a
w-
trap.
yeah. I was going to say you need to be the complete opposite of me, and that is consistent with your uploading.
I think you've got the right attitude to it, though. To be honest, you're just like an all or nothing kind of guy when it comes to your
Yeah,
you've got this cluster of videos that
yeah.
you literally like get out within like 3 months. You get like 20, 30 videos out, then you have a nice 6 month rest. It's like it's like you're an actual Netflix show, and everyone's waiting for the next Obi-Wan brand upload.
Yeah,
What will it be?
yeah,
When will it be? So yeah. But no, feeling good with the way everything's been going. Apart
yeah.
from, and I'm sure we'll probably have a chat about this in depth. Um, I can't walk. I did which is a problem for a runner.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
uh, I did a S&C class on like a YouTube video in my front room the other day, and
hmm
a kettlebell workout, and it's ruined me. My hamstrings are like shredded. They're ripped. They feel torn. Like the little micro tears I can feel within them. Like I'm self massaging it now, and it's like it's been 3 or 4 days. It was Tuesday, so it's 4 days ago, and it's really, really sore. Still
Shall,
really sore.
shall we talk about that now? Because we were chatting about this before we started recording, and yeah, I did say you made the classic mistake of I haven't done any S&C for ages,
I'll tell you
so
what.
let's just go straight into it and do a full-on workout that I would do at the height of my S&C workouts.
I'll tell you
So
what I
you've gone
did.
from nothing to full on. Go on.
I made a classic mistake of listening to you and doing S&C. I was happy before this. I was happy in my little bubble of never doing S&C. Never in any pain, never in any DOMs. No, everything was beautiful. It was like living on a cloud. Now,
Yeah,
I'm in hell. Now,
yeah.
like, it's just
But as I say, you've
horrid.
you have done the equivalent of taking a month off running and doing 0 miles, and then getting back into running by doing a 20-mile run. That's
Yeah.
what you've done with your S&C. You've done nothing, and then all of a sudden gone, I'm just going to do it all right now on this night.
I think a little bit of my problem, or a massive bit of my problem, is that sometimes I don't think. You know how some runners would be like, I'm not going to go for a mile run because that's pointless.
Hmm.
It's not pointless, it's just the way you think. That's like me going, well, I don't want to do S&C, just doing a couple of glute bridges and a couple of lunges and then saying, right, that's enough. I mean, I'm not saying that was what I would do, but I wanted it to kind of feel like a session, if you know what I mean. But I
Yeah.
forgot to take into account that I was building on zero strength, because my hammies have really, I've learned a lot this week that my hamstrings are just so underdeveloped and so brittle. And I wonder if that could be part of the key to unlocking a little bit more speed for me, or a bit more, some better times.
It
It's just,
will, but do you know why your hamstrings possibly feel so tender from that S&C that you've done? Is due to you've moved house and all of your routes are now a lot hillier than they used to be. And hills are all about using your glutes and your hammies when you're going
yeah,
uphill.
yeah,
So you've obviously been using them more than you normally would on your day-to-day running. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden you've hammered them by doing a kettlebell workout.
yeah, yeah. I think I've put it this way. I've just learned a lot this week, and I think what I'm going to do is when I get back from Parkrun tomorrow, I'm going to do another one, but it's going to be like a resistance one. It's not going to be a kettlebell one, but I think I will keep
Yeah.
up the kettlebells, because
Yeah.
I just feel like, when you just know yourself, right? So some people like me, I just can't go to the gym. I don't know what it is. I think it's the fear of not getting my money's worth. I don't know what it is. I
I
feel
know
like
exactly how you feel about
it's
that.
like,
Yeah.
what am I paying 50 quid a month for? I can't, I don't know. I can't hold it in my hand. Like, what am I paying for? And then I feel like saying, well, if I don't go 4 times a week, what's the point? And then I end up cancelling it. So believe it or not, I've actually been a member of a gym like a couple of times, and it's ended within the probation. Do you know what I mean? Like within the 12
Yeah.
weeks. But kettlebells for me, they actually feel like are quite fun. The most fun
Hmm.
I can feel like I'm having whilst doing S&C. Like, I admire you so much when I see you doing your routine. When you go down the gym and you do your S&C routine. I think a big thing about it is I don't have the confidence because I don't know enough. Like, I don't know the moves and the drills and the things that you do. Like, I could do a glute bridge, but I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do next. I literally don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So at least with kettlebells, and I'm watching someone telling me what to do, like I don't mind that. So I think
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it up.
Yeah. I think also the trap you're falling into is to go straight into weighted exercises. You
Yeah.
possibly should have done a couple of weeks of body weight
Yeah.
exercises and then slowly
Yeah.
built up the weight that you're using, but you went
Yeah.
straight into swinging a kettlebell around.
Well, in a way, I think I knew this would happen, which is why I didn't do S&C week 1, because I didn't want to have DOMs, or didn't want to be carrying unnecessary discomfort for this 5K race that I did last Sunday, which I'll mention in a bit. And I'm actually really glad, because I would have done exactly what I did last week, and I would have been in a mess come race day. So, because I can still feel it now when it's Friday, and I probably will feel it for another day or two. So much, so much so that I've cancelled my plans for tomorrow. I was going to go for an all-out 5K tomorrow, but I did an easy run this morning, and I did some strides at the end. I just couldn't pick my knees up. I literally could not do strides, and that was at the end of an easy run once I'd limbered up. And so I just thought, no, let's knock it on the head. it's funny how everything works out for a reason, because I think it might be for the best as well. Because, like you've always said, maybe sacrifice some running for some S&C, because you'll thank yourself come marathon race day. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
How long was your kettlebell workout?
23 minutes, including the warm down. 25
Okay.
minutes. So it was four sets of 4 exercises twice. So there were 30 seconds on, no recovery. So it was quite a hard class. And then there was 30 seconds in between each set. So you do a set, recover 30 seconds, do exactly the same. Then you move on to the second level, and you do that. So that's another 8, reps. And then it was hard.
Did
It was
did
bloody hard.
did you at any point think maybe do half of this and do a 10-minute workout and then do another 10-minute workout later in the week?
I'm too stubborn, Brett. I can't. I literally, once I've started something, it's like why I can't DNF a marathon. I literally, once I've started something, I cannot get out of the headspace of we've started it, so you've got to finish this.
Yeah.
And I wish I wasn't so stubborn sometimes, because I wasn't even paying for it. It's not like I'd even paid someone to So, but I'm paying for it now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
But that stubbornness will help you, in races, because you'll be able to knuckle down and get through it when it gets tough. So.
I'll tell you what killed me as well. Having no strength in your hammies and having no core strength doesn't help. But one of the last 2 things were straightforward, and I thought, I can do these. These are sort of well easy. Kettlebell swings, 30 seconds of them times 2, harder than it sounds. And at 90% of the way through the class as well. I was going to call it a class for argument's sake. And by the way, the couple that I've been watching online, this American couple, they're really good. They've got loads of massive library of workouts, including strength and conditioning stuff, weighted stuff, kettlebells. They're called Juice and Toya. They're an American couple. So I'm looking forward to working through their stuff. And the other thing was core strength. I've just got no core strength. Like the last thing to do were crunches, but you clean. You know what I mean? Like a clean and press. Like you have the kettlebell in a clean position, so it's like under your chin.
Oh yeah.
And you're doing crunches with an 8 kilo kettlebell.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, 8 kilos. What's people going to think of me? Like, come on, mate. Why didn't you grab the 16? I am so glad.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have grabbed Laura's 2 or 4.
I'm glad you didn't go up.
So I haven't heard this much. Have you ever heard of the viral sensation from about 10 or 12 years ago called Insanity?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Was his name Sean T? When it was all filmed in like a gym, and there was loads of other people doing the same class as him, and it was like it was aimed as like a 28-day intense high interval when high interval workout really took off. I haven't heard that much since doing a pirate copy of that. I didn't pay for it.
Of course, didn't pay for it.
So, but I was so stubborn. I had to do it. I had to get my money's worth.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a nice. So what I was gonna do, and I was gonna do Long Eaton Parkrun tomorrow, which is renowned as one of the fastest in the country. It's up there with Warsaw and Victoria Dock, I think. And I was going to go and meet Beatty Rich up there and have a really good blast up there, because Sam Harrison did it last week, and she finished first in 15. Well, I don't know what the time was, 15:30 something, I think. And it's the sort of course where like you could do a sub 20 and not come in the top 50 or something like that, or the top 100. It's like it's one of those sorts of ones. So I'm slightly gutted that I'm not doing it, but I think it's definitely the right choice, because I know what I'd do. I'd make myself stand on that start line and kid myself that I'm fine, and then I probably would tear a hamstring. I would do some serious damage.
Yeah, good.
So
I'm glad you've made the sensible decision.
So we're going to Batman's house instead. So we're going to a park run up in Notts called Woollerton Hall, which Rich has been telling me is Wayne Manor as
Mhm.
used in the films. I think
Which film
I
version?
don't know. Surely the new ones. I don't
So
know.
the ones with Robert Pattinson.
Oh no, surely the Christian Bale franchise. Is it not that? Not that what he's talking about?
I don't know.
I don't have a clue. I'll be honest. I don't know.
What's it called? Let me
Batman.
Google it.
Oh,
I'm Batman.
it's called Woollerton Hall. WOLL
Yeah, yeah.
ATON.
Woollerton Hall Batman. In the Dark Knight Rises, yes, it's the Christian Bale series.
Awesome. Well, the parkrun there tomorrow is a bit bumpy, apparently. And Rich said he's done it like a minute slower than his PB. So I'm expecting a couple of spicy hills. But it's going to be a nice scenic one because like a deer park there. So yeah, I don't know how I'll run it tomorrow. I might run it as a progression, maybe start off nice and easy and try and get up to marathon pace or something like that. If I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do instead. And then it's the big one next week.
Yes.
The big 5K attempt next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on next week's pod though. We'll go into that of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through your training this week then, seeing as you are in marathon training and you're starting the exciting stuff? So
are you sure? Because I feel like this is a bit Andy Mag heavy here. Are you sure you don't want to
go for it? Because my training hasn't been much this week, so we'll get through that quite quick. So,
I bet you've run more miles than me. How many? Do you know how many Ks or miles you've done?
I've done 35 miles so far this week. Since Monday.
I think I've just since Monday.
Yeah.
You've done way more than me already. That's disgusting. And you're injured. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Actually, so am I. I'm injured. I've got a kettlebell injury. Yeah, I've decided to get into like a little routine where I'm starting to give myself Tuesday and Thursday off. And I'm getting to a point where I'm trying to structure my training around track at the moment, which is Wednesday.
Yeah. Hang on. So you're taking Tuesday and Thursday off?
Yeah.
Oh man. That would fry my brain. So yeah, okay, cool. Excellent.
Well, you do 2 tracks a week, don't you?
Yeah, so I always take a Wednesday and Friday off.
Yeah.
Because Tuesday and Thursday are my session days.
Tuesday, Thursday, your session days. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm only going to have, whilst I'm in this sub 20 kind of mentality, I'm going to keep Saturdays as my speedy Saturdays.
Yeah.
And Wednesday as track session Wednesdays.
That's probably a good idea.
And everything else is just going to be, easy hills or, the occasional, workout. But so that's what I'm sort of working approximately to. So yeah, Sunday, I forgot to mention my race I've done. Should we talk about that afterwards?
No, that's part of your training week, isn't it? So
well, that was Sunday.
That's why I wanted to get into it. Yeah,
well, but
because we record on a Friday, we always do from Saturday to Thursday, don't we?
Okay. I'm so confused. Right. Okay. So Saturday,
it's
parkrun.
It's because we recorded on Monday, and we've only had 4 days in between the last podcast. That's what's throwing you.
Right. Have I gone back too far? What date is it? The 23rd at the moment. I've gone back too far. Okay. Let me get my.
The first day would be.
Got it.
Well, you talked about Saturday on the last pod that you took it nice and easy round your parkrun.
Yes.
Ready for the Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you a bit of context. So I did a 5K race, which is around my old stomping ground, around the river, around the River Severn in Worcester. And it's a lovely little riverside footpath that's very, very flat. not particularly the most sub 20 friendly thing you've ever seen in your life. If you're going for a PB, because there weren't a lot of people doing the race, and you're sharing a footpath with a lot of other footpath users. So it's like, how you've experienced Ara Valley. It's
Yeah.
not the ideal place to maybe go for a PB. It's doable,
Yeah.
but it's maybe not the best place. But I did this race this time last year, and I did it in 20 minutes and 43 seconds. So I was 6 seconds off a PB then. And my target was to beat last year's if I could. And I started off really quite well, because I did my first K in 4:02. I think my first K was 4.
Ooh.
No, it wasn't. It was 3:58.
Oh, yes. So
So
on
sub
sub
20
20
pace.
pace for that first K.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was thinking, because I've got 39 seconds here to play with. So I'm thinking, right, okay, going to smash my PB, because my PB is 20:37. So I'm already negative 2 seconds. Then second K comes up, 4:09. So 11 seconds slower. So I think that was like, okay, I think you might have gone off a little bit too quick there, Andy. But I did say to myself, I'm going to be not aggressive, but I'm going to go out in this race and just see how fast I can run.
Yeah.
I want to I don't want to have regrets after this 5K. I don't want to almost like go out easy and then try and speed up. I just want to go out hard and hang on. Basically, that's what I said to myself. So whatever happens, happens. And then second K, 4:09, third K sort of fell. This is where, a bit like Edgbaston and Parkrun, this is where I knew the game has already gone, because I did 4:16 and then fourth K was 4:17. So the game is pretty much gone. I needed to do another 3:58 or 3:55 to do a fifth K to get the PB. And I came in with my fifth K at 4:07. So I did manage to speed up a little bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I managed to get round in watch time 20:54, but official gun time is 20:55, because it wasn't a chip time race. It was like 1, 2, 3, go, and then someone started a stopwatch, and they counted you
So
over
it's
the
a bit
line.
like Parkrun.
A bit like Parkrun, yeah. So it's a mass start, and I might have lost a second crossing the line, but yeah, I finished as strongly as I could. I don't have any regrets the way I raced it. A lot of people would be like, "Why did you go out so hard? What, same old story?" But it's like, I want to try and almost condition my body to working that hard, if you know what I mean. Because when I'm doing track workouts, I'm only running at that intensity for 2 minutes at a time, 3 minutes at a time. So by doing it for a 5K attempt, it's and if I lose a few seconds, or if I don't get a PB or miss a sub 20, then that's okay. I can live with that. But do you know what? Someone I met, who I've met before, a lad called Mervyn. He's a Droitwich lad, and I've met him a few times at Parkrun, and he was at the race on Sunday, and he said, "Don't worry, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but it's inevitable. It's happening." The same thing happened to me. He said, when I first started, I was at 25, 26 minute 5Ks, and he said, I got to 40, because I think he's about 45 now, this guy. And he just about cracked it, I think, before his 40th birthday. He said, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 38. He said, "You got time." Yeah. So thank you for your unshakable faith in me, Merv. And I genuinely think the same. I think it is going to happen. I just got to keep plugging away.
100% it's going to happen. And once you've done it once, you'll know how it feels to do it, so you'll be able to do it again.
Yeah. And Beardy Rich keeps saying, he hasn't said it in these words, but he sort of is alluding to the fact that you'll kind of miss the chase once it's gone. So he said, part of this sub 20 journey is the thrill of the chase. It's like, it's the standing on that start line thinking, maybe today is the day, that is the most exciting bit. And I'll be honest, I totally love that part of it. And I I don't mind taking a swing and missing. Like I don't mind that at all, because it's the complete opposite, isn't it? With marathons, it's like you can just go again next week. You can even do a 5K time trial the day after. You can go again on a Tuesday night. You can, you could do it anytime. And yeah, so I'm not worried. It didn't quite happen for me. I think I came in, well, I mean, it was 20:55. I think it's 18 seconds off a PB. So I wasn't far away. And critically, I'm getting closer. And I think since doing these ultras and having COVID, it slowed me down a lot. I think this summer has really, my body's taken a bit of a knock. And what's weird for me is I'm having to get over myself, because I'm not quite in as good a shape now as I was 2 weeks into Newport. And I've got to get myself into much better shape than I was for Newport, which is going to be the exciting part of it. But I think with a couple of changes that I'm making, mainly S&C, and running these hilly routes, and hopefully more volume, I think, like Merv says, it's inevitable. But honourable shout out, honourable mention to friend of the podcast, Mac Ashworth. So Mac was with me pretty much the whole way. Oh, I didn't realise, because he was sat right behind me, and Mac's
he was just stalking you for the whole race.
His PB up until the day was 21. He did 21 or 20:59 on the track, but I'm not sure whether he's classing that as his 5K PB. But before that, it was about 21:25 or something like that, I think. So he really wanted sub 21. And he ended up crossing the line. Again, gun time, if it can be trusted. What's the only thing we've got to use, so we have to. 21 flat. So we missed it by, a thousandth of a second. Phenomenal PB.
20-something seconds off your 5K PB is a big old chunk.
But he did really well. He was sort of, we didn't speak to each other for the entire race. We sort of said to each other, because we'd sort of trained together the last few weeks doing the reps on the track. And we'd sort of said, look, we'll be there or thereabouts. We'll be probably quite close to each other. But we sort of made sure that we both said to each other, you race your race, I'll race mine. Like, don't worry about what each other do. Like, pretend I'm not there, sort of thing. And I said the same to him. So I went out obviously really hot, and I think he followed me, and he probably wished that he hadn't. And then he managed to just sit on my shoulder for the pretty much the entirety of the 5K, which I wasn't really aware of.
I was going to say, was there any point that you knew he was behind you?
Yes. I heard his ASICS metaspeeds a few times. And the only reason I knew is because he's got his name from his club vest on his chest. So a lot of people were shouting his name. So I thought he can't be far away, but I didn't realize just how close he was looking at the video footage. I'm just mega pleased for him that he managed to get round in his target time. I know he missed it by a thousandth of a second or whatever it would have been, but I've smashed a 10K PB recently. He ran a good marathon in Manchester. He's just having a good year so far, and he smashed a half marathon earlier on in the year. So just mega pleased for him, and it's really good, isn't it, to see your mates do well?
And, amazing.
He raced that race better than I did, and all I can say is sorry, because I think if I'd have sped up 3 and 4, he would have followed me. He would have gone with me. But I let the pace drop slightly, so he kind of, don't know, he kind of sat with me, and I don't know if we both noticed how much time we both lost or were losing. But this is one thing I was going to ask you: when you're racing or doing a time trial of any kind, do you ever look at your moving time, or are you only concerned of your lap pace and your average pace?
When you say moving time, do you mean as in overall time that you've been running?
So my Garmin will tell me, I know it's probably very inaccurate, but it will tell me my current pace. whether
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing an 8-minute mile or a 5-minute mile. Like,
yeah.
not that I've ever done a 5-minute mile in my life, but do you look at your literally your moving pace? Because I only ever go off average pace and average lap
Oh,
pace.
okay. No,
Yeah,
I've got set up on my watch. So the screen on my watch, when I'm doing a road race, well, a road run, has heart rate at the top, which I pretty much ignore. And
yeah,
then I've got distance and total time. And then I've got current pace, so lap pace,
yeah.
and average pace as well, next to each other.
Yeah. So that must be a real good. Is it a bit heartbreaking when you're running up a hill though? But I know what you're like. You run even faster up hills. You're like running a mile correct. But like you know,
Not
when if you see your pace really dropping, does that
yeah,
ever panic you or alarm you because you're
not
looking at current
not
pace?
really, because you take into consideration the elevation or the surface that you're running on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I'm running on a flat piece of ground and I'm putting in the effort that I think is around a 6-minute mile, if I look down and I'm doing a 6-minute mile, that's fine. But if I'm putting in the effort of about a 6-minute mile on flat ground and I'm going uphill and it says 7-minute miles, that's fine, because you're going uphill.
Yeah.
Because your effort's the same, but your pace is going to slow.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. But I almost always just look at lap average pace, and just hope that it's bang on the money. But that's sometimes what there is a discrepancy, because my watch, I almost got this memory of doing my first kilometer, and I'm sure it told me I did 4:02, and then the Strava told me I did a 3:58. But maybe, so I don't know why
Yeah,
that happened. So maybe Strava is set up for moving time, and this was elapsed time, or vice versa, or something. I don't know. But because it does take you a couple of seconds to get up to speed, doesn't it? Once you start,
yeah,
and obviously your watch has got to catch you up as well.
yeah,
So yeah, I suppose you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt, haven't you? But
yeah, yeah.
most watches are good enough these days to give you a
Yeah. I've also noticed that on my watch, when it shows me the lap time, so when I hit a mile, it pops up and tells me what that pace was on that mile.
yeah,
If it's 0.5 or more of a second, it clocks it as the next second. And if
yes,
it's lower, it stays on
right,
that second. So if
rouse
it's
it down.
say it's a 6-minute mile, if I hit it at 5:59.5, it will say on my Strava 6 minutes. Whereas if I hit it at 5:59.4, it will say 5:59.
Yeah. So you look at your watch, you think, oh, I've just done a 5:59 there. Yeah, yeah. I see
Yeah,
what you're saying.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
rounds it up. And then sometimes what I've noticed as well with my Coros, say I run 2 miles that are 5:59.4, and then the next one is 5:59.7. That third mile might actually come up as a 6:01,
Why?
because the last 2 miles it's said as a 5:59, but you've got 0.8 of a second on top.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
the next one is closer to 6 minutes and it adds that 0.8 on. So it then ends up being a 6:01.
I
So
see. Yeah.
sometimes there can be a 2-second discrepancy from what it said on your watch whilst you're running.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that same happens to me, and I've never really kind of analyzed why it happens. But yeah,
Yeah.
I struggle I haven't, because I've been doing track differently to how I used to do interval workouts. Because when I do interval workouts, I just purely do them on my watch. And when Garmin, or the way I've set it up anyway, or the sort of like factory settings of it, when you do an interval on Garmin, it shows you your current pace. So if you know, I don't know if it's the same for you or if you ever run like this, but you've got like a red area here which is slow. Green is where your parameters of 6-minute mile, 6:05, that sort of thing, and over here's too fast, that sort of thing. I used to think it was showing me my average pace for the lap, but it's current pace.
Yeah.
So,
Where you
so
are at that moment in time.
So I was noticing that I was starting the interval too fast, and then slowing down, and then keeping hopefully within that sweet spot for the 3 minutes, and thinking, oh, I've just run a 4-minute kilometer pace. But then I look back at it and it's told me I've run a 3:50 pace because of the extra speed I'd done at the start of the interval. And I didn't realize that's what that meant. So sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise when you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, let me. I was going to say I was going to talk through this week as well.
I just wanted to say quickly though, with your sub 20 attempt, Merv is right. It will happen because when I first started doing Parkrun back in 2013, I had that mindset of I would only go to Parkrun if I could break 20 minutes. And if it was a week where I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm not really feeling this, I wouldn't go down. And I was actually worried about what my Parkrun profile looked like. Now I don't care. But when I got injured in 2017 and had time out, the next few years, I struggled my ass off to try and get back down to under 20 minutes. So, like, I've just brought up my my Run Britain rankings and having a look. So in 2018, the fastest parkrun I did was 21:24, and then so bearing in mind 2013 I did a 19:08. 2014 I did an 18:53. Then 2018, which was the next time I did parkrun, the fastest I did that year was 21:24. In 2019, the fastest I did was 20 minutes 29 seconds. In 2021, the fastest I ran was 21:12. And then 2022, when I got back into it and properly set my head into it, I did a 17:34.
That's mental.
So
that's crazy. So you couldn't break that barrier for what felt like, was years.
Yeah, for ages. Yeah, I was struggling my ass off to run a 21-minute parkrun because I was so unfit and so out of it, and I hadn't been running much and everything. It just that mindset of I can't break this barrier that I used to do every week and used to feel quite okay doing. It was now a proper challenge, and it wasn't until I properly knuckled down and went, right, I need to take this seriously, that it then started to come back, and I actually started to get the fitness I needed to break that 20-minute barrier. So you've just come off this, obviously, bout of COVID and all of your really long distance plods in the trails, doing your ultras and everything. It's going to take a while to get back up to speed and get back up to that not only fitness, but that mind frame of I'm not going for a mega long run. I am going for a fast run.
That's the scary bit, because my brain has now changed the way it's wired over this last few months, because the thought of running 100k doesn't scare me now, but the thought of running a hard 10k petrifies me.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? When you say it out loud, it sounds even more stupid. But I've just got to get back to that road running mentality where you put the work in, you keep working hard, you stay consistent, results will come.
And it's going to get painful.
Yeah.
Those shorter races, you are going to be in, well, not in pain, but it's going to be really uncomfortable, because to hit those speeds and those paces that you want, you're going to be running on that red line, which isn't a nice place to be.
I can't wait to be violently sick in Valencia. It's going to be so magical. I've been sick. I've got like a proud tradition of being sick after every marathon, and
Yeah.
Valencia hopefully will be no different.
Hopefully, though, you have learnt your lessons from the marathons where you've spewed your guts up afterwards, because most of the time that you've done that, it's because you've got your water intake wrong or your
Yeah.
nutrition wrong. It's not
So,
because of anything else, really.
so are you saying that you shouldn't drink 3 bottles of water at mile 25 and then run the last mile because
I,
you're
I
really
am
stubborn?
I am saying that,
Right.
yes. Yeah, yes. Because
At,
otherwise you'll be hugging a tree, just getting rid of all that water at the end.
I feel so bad. I feel so embarrassed because at the end of Chester, I was like, I was all of a sudden I was like, I don't feel right. Me and Laura walking back to the car. I was like, I'm going to be sick. She's like, you fucking idiot. So you can't be sick in the middle of Chester town centre. I was like, must have looked like some sort of drunk. I don't know. It must have looked like I was on a stag do in Benidorm, and I literally just exorcisted over this tree. And I was like in the middle, cars going past me. I was like, oh, I'm fine. That was just one of the lowest points of my running career. But but that was stupid because I didn't get my water intake right on the day. And I remember just necking water because I felt really dehydrated at mile 25 at Chester. Because anyone who's doing Chester, who's not done Chester, if the course is the same, there's a hill at 25 miles and there's a water station just before it at 23, I think. And I knew it was coming. So I thought, right, I'm going to really try and get ready for this hill. So I'm going to just drink all this water and get back in the game. Because between 16 and 23, I just felt awful. So I thought, right, finish strong and all that. And I took loads of water, got up the hill, got over the line, and then regretted it massively. I should have just walked. I should have just easy jogged it home and just I should have just jeffed it in, but I stubbornly ran the whole thing. You never know. I might have been sick either way because of the adrenaline and all that. But no, what I should have done is took water with me. It was a very hot day and my body wasn't used to what I put it through.
Yeah.
So
and basically your body was dehydrated, but you were just feeding it water, and it can't take on the water without the salts in your body to actually absorb that water. So you just rejected the water, and it just
I didn't have any electrolytes. I wasn't training with electrolytes. I didn't even have. I had one gel. Oh, what was I playing at? What a prat! What was I doing? I don't know what I was even thinking.
Yeah.
But good times, magical times. Hopefully Valencia is a slightly better experience than Chester. But I did Chester in 4:02, I think. I was really pleased with that in the end, what I went through that day. But yeah, Chester's a good marathon, man. I think you would destroy Chester. I think Chester's a really good one for you to have a go at because it's not a hilly course, but it's undulating.
Yeah.
There are some hills in it. It's not like Manchester where it's like carpet flat for the old time. Then there's a bump. It's like it is up and down, up and down, up and down, and there's that hill at mile 25. I think it's called Sandy Lane in Chester town centre. And I would really genuinely be interested to see what you could do at Chester because I think you'd have a good go at it. But I think the Quiney brothers are doing it, aren't they? They're doing Chester.
Yes.
And yeah. So good luck to them. Sean, who we read out last week, who's also doing it. So yeah, hopefully you won't be as sick as a dog as I was. Yeah.
So how did the rest of your week look then after your very close attempt at PB?
So just sort of whizzing through it. Monday was I didn't feel bad, but I felt like I'd just done a hard 5K the day before. Like I didn't have like marathon style DOMs. I couldn't like not get down the stairs or anything, but I was feeling it a little bit. So I didn't really want to do anything long.
You did do extra after the 5K though, didn't you? On the Sunday.
Yeah, I did a 15K to get home, which is about 10 mile. 9 miles or something like that to get home. But yeah, I woke up, went for a run with Daisy, nice and easy one on the local trails here, a combination of trails and roads. We did 6.5 Ks, so it's about 4 miles, and that was nice and easy. And there I was going to do, look, that was my, can you see that? The dreaded kettlebell. So I was going to do the kettlebell on the Monday, but I bottled it. And I got to Tuesday and thought, it's day off today. You can't do anything on a day off. But I thought, well, I can't roll it over to Wednesday. That's another day missed. And we've got track tomorrow and all this. So I thought, no, come on, let's just do it today. And I'm not going to get in a habit of working out on my days off, because I think your days off should be days off. You taught me that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't listen to you and did kettlebell workout. I was the worst student ever. And but yeah, got through it, and it was a good 25. I got a little thing that said this activity is your longest weight training ever. 25 minutes 59 seconds. And then we did, what else did we do? Then it was Wednesday, so I decided that Wednesdays are going to be double days for me, but until I'm feeling a bit fitter, the first of the double is always going to be an easy, something nice and easy. So again, did 6K, 4 mile with Daisy, just for a nice easy trail run. Woke up with some DOMs as well, starting to feel a bit sore. And then I thought, as the day went on, you idiot, what have you done? You've got track tonight. And I got there, and the DOMs had already kicked in just over 24 hours later. And I was, I was in a bad way. So the session at track was one have I done this one before? I can't remember. Oh, I tell you what I did. The coach always writes on the board 10K set or the half marathon set. So I thought I'll be kind to myself and do the half marathon set. But just because the reps are slower doesn't mean they're easier. It was the same level of intensity. So what I was doing was 800s. It was 800 zone. Everything was zone 4. So I saw Z4. I thought, right, I'll have that. So I interpreted that as like 10K-ish pace, something like that. So it's 800, 600, 800, and then an easy 400 with 60 seconds in between all of them. And the only jog recovery I did was after the 600. You know, when you finish at the 6, I jog recovered back to the start line and went straight into my 800 rep then.
Cool.
So, and I did 3 sets of that, and embarrassingly, I can't get online. So I've got no storage on my phone. I'm on a SIM-only contract because I'm too tight to get a new one, basically. And I'm at the end of my storage on my phone, and it's affecting getting on and off the internet. So just bear with me 1 second while I get up the laps that I did. Here we go. So I did I'll just rattle through my times. So you're probably like, really? Is that an effort rep? Really?
No.
Really?
No, I will not be like that.
It was the DOMs. It was the DOMs. I'll blame it on the DOMs. So I did my first 800 was at a 3:31. So it's 4:24 per kilometer, which is about half marathon pace, which is, I'll be honest, that first rep, I was like, it's going to be a long day at the office today. And then I did 600 in 2:41, which is 4:23 a K. Then the next 800 was 3:39, which was 4:20. So very, very similar. Then a nice easy recovery 400. Then the next set were 800, 3:38, which is the same pace, 4:25. 600, which was 4:20 per K, which was 2:38. And then the last 800 of the set was 3:34. Slightly quicker, that's 4:17 a K. And then moving into the last set, so I only did 3 sets. It was 800 was 4:19 a K, so that's 3:35. The 600 was 2:44, 4:25 a K. And the last 800 was 3:32, which is 4:17. So I kept it quite controlled. I don't know if you can see my little graph.
Yeah. Nice and even.
I managed to keep everything even. My pace, I came away from that feeling like that was the first track session I've done out of 4 or 5 that I thought was that worth it? Like, did I run hard enough to warrant that being a track session?
Before you say that, right? What did you just say when you read out your first 800 rep? You said what the time was, and you said what the pace was. What did you say after that pace?
About half marathon pace.
Yeah,
No.
and yeah, that's exactly what you said. And what was the session written on the board?
Yeah, it was a half marathon.
A half
It was a
marathon
half.
session. So you
Yeah.
ran half marathon pace for a half marathon session,
Mm.
and you were upset.
Well, yeah. I just feel like I see everyone zooming round the track.
Yeah, but they're on a different,
Yeah, I know.
completely different work like session.
Yeah, I know.
Their workout targets are completely different to what you're doing.
Yeah,
This
I know.
this is something a lot of people need to do, and especially now that you're going into marathon training for your specific marathon target, you need to
Mm.
stop worrying about what other people are doing
Yeah,
and stop measuring yourself against other people. You need to just focus on what you're doing and are you running the right pace for you.
yeah, yeah. I sometimes I think like that, and I think, yeah, that's a healthy way to think. But then occasionally this side of me comes in and says, you're not maximizing, you're not running hard enough, you're not, you won't. Was that actually a good session if you didn't run that hard? And yeah, so no, it was a good session because that was the fastest that I've ran all week, and it will be because I'm not running a hard 5K tomorrow. So those half marathon, 10K and half marathon paces. Well, I didn't quite do 10K, but it wasn't far off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I think because you're further down the line and you've got more experience than me as a runner, you can see all these stupid little insecurities that I have because
Yeah,
you've probably had them all.
yeah, it's not like I haven't done that. I've done that numerous times, and I've made all of those mistakes. And I know I keep on telling you not to make the mistakes, but it's probably good that you do make those mistakes because it actually doing it and learning from what you do is better than somebody telling you what to do.
Mm,
So if I say, "Oh, don't do that," you going out and doing it and realizing you shouldn't do that
yeah.
is way better as a lesson than me just saying don't do that.
Because then I can be like, okay, I know
Yeah,
why you
you
said don't do
understand
that now.
why, and you
Yeah.
understand how your body feels after doing that and why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
So
and when I bear in mind that I'd done that silly kettlebell class the day before, and then I got the 5K on my
exactly,
legs on Sunday and the long run. Yeah, you shouldn't. I just think, run as fast as you can on a Wednesday. Try and try and do
yeah,
my tracks like. But that's a stupid way to think, isn't it? Because
yeah,
I think if I had have run any faster, and I literally felt like I couldn't pick my legs up to run any quicker than I did. So I should be grateful that I managed to get through at half marathon pace for those 800s
exactly,
and those 600s because
yeah, yeah. If
and I
if I
managed
go
to.
if I go down to session and Andy sets the session of these reps at 5K pace, I'm not going to run them at 3K pace because they've been set at 5K pace for a reason.
Yeah. Well, what is a slightly difficult one to interpret with the track nights that I've been going to is that everything is written in zones rather
Yes.
than paces to hit like 5K, 10K. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just a different way of coming at it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how do you get? Some people wouldn't even get into zone 5 on a 400 rep. I'm sure they probably would, depending on how hard they ran it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like zone 5 for some people could be 3K pace, couldn't it? I guess
Yeah.
for a 400 rep. But what he normally says is like, just think about your effort levels from 1 to 10. He said if you're at a 10K, you should be about an 8. or maybe a 9 for your last set. And he said maybe take your first set no higher than an 8, because you don't want to like bonk on a bloody track session.
Yeah.
And he said if you're doing the half marathon set, you're looking at a 6 or a 7. And I suppose when I think back, that was probably sensible.
Yeah.
Because I have got a half marathon coming up as well.
Yeah. And
so
our coach Andy says all the time, he always says, I'm setting it at this pace. Don't go out too quick for the first few reps, because after the first few reps, the effort will start to kick in, and you'll realize why we've set it at this pace rather than faster. So that's why paces or zones should be adhered to. Shall we say?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah,
when you think about zones as well, though, they're quite big ranging. So it's not like there's a set pace of a gap of like 10 seconds within per mile that your zone is going to be. Your zones are normally based off heart rate, and that's normally then worked out from your threshold, which is what you can run comfortably for an hour.
For 1 hour,
and then and then your heart rate, what your heart rate gets up to in that will then tell you what paces will be your different heart rates in your different zones.
Yep. So for most people, threshold is about 172 to 176 or something like that, in that little pocket, isn't it? Something above.
But you've also got to remember that heart rate is very personal, and everybody has got different heart rates and will work at different heart rates.
Did you see any? Do you follow or see any of the hardest geezers' Stravas?
No.
So he'd upload his ultras every day, and I looked at some of his, his splits, and he's running 6-minute Ks. He's running like 9 or 10-minute miles. His heart rate is like 115, 120. 120, he's maxing out at like 130, and it's like.
And what pace is he running?
About 10 or 11-minute miles, something like that.
Yeah, see that's probably right for him, because he's got that aerobic capacity from running so many miles. His heart rate will be really low at lower paces.
Yeah.
So like that pace for him of 10-minute, 11-minute miles will be zone 1, and zone 1 should be below 120.
Yeah. Do you know an interesting story about that is, when you're on marathons or race days and you can just meet really interesting people, like when you met the Croc man who's doing the world record. So when I was doing the Yorkshire Marathon, and don't worry, I was sick at the end of that one as well. I met a guy halfway, or from the start to about 30K to about 20 mile, called Jordan, who we've stayed in touch with. And he since did an ultra marathon in St. Lucia, where he ran the whole length of it, or from the bottom to the top, or something crazy like that. Something that had never been done before. But he was super sound guy, and we were chatting, and we were talking, because the hardest geezer was like sort of on everyone's, lots of people were talking about at the time when I started doing it, when we did the race. And he said, I've met him, because this Jordan guy was just fresh out of uni, and he studied physics or physiology or something like that. And one of his placements within Sheffield Hallam, I think it was to work in the physiology VO2 max department. They had Russ Cook in for testing, environment simulation, or whatever you call it. So they got him in, they cranked the temperature up to like 35 degrees. They put the hanging oxygen mask on him. And they said he was just like an animal. He was just cope with all these different environments on the treadmill. And they just said he was just like, he could handle all these different things. And it was at that moment they knew he's got a good chance of doing this, because he's passing these tests with flying colours, like all these VO2 max sort of things. So I thought that was quite interesting. It's called Jordan Boreal, that guy was. And he since now works for, tell you what job he's got. I don't know how he's got this, but he's gone from physiological heart rate testing data to now being one of the people that positions the cameras at Premier League stadiums for VAR. So honestly, this guy has got such a cool guy. He's got so much experience at a young age already. But anyway, where were we?
Amazing.
So yeah, I was going to talk to you, and then I had Thursday off. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. I had Thursday off. That was yesterday in real life, and that was the day that I struggled to walk around the house.
So it's a good job you did have it off.
I had to go to work, and I was like, luckily, I was doing a job where it wasn't a customer-facing day yesterday. I didn't have to see anyone, and I was like, I took forever doing this job because I literally couldn't. I just couldn't move around, and I was really struggling. And I was cursing the day S&C was ever invented. I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. I don't want to feel like this ever again. And then, just did a lot of rest and recovery yesterday. And then Friday was the last run I've done all week. And that was this morning, did 10K around the country lanes, which was nice in the sunshine and the wind. Did you go out for a run today? It was windy, wasn't it?
No, Friday's my rest day.
Of course, yeah, but it's mega windy out today,
Yeah,
so that was another layer of resistance I had to deal with, kettlebell DOMs and hills, and managed to get a 10K in. And at the end, like I mentioned earlier, I did some strides to finish, and I just couldn't pick my knees up to like stride, and that's the moment I knew I'm not going to Long Eaton to run like easy.
Yeah.
Like Long Eaton is a bit like Walsall Arboretum for a lot of us that have got targets to hit. I don't want to go to a real honeypot location to just not do a run I'm particularly proud of. So that's on the back burner now for a few months.
Here's a question for you. So to go along with all your running and your new S&C that you now do too, how much stretching do you do with that?
if you mean like you stretch when you wake up in the morning, yeah, that's about all I do. That I peak at about 7:20. That's about the peak of stretching I do. Mate, I don't do any.
Do you not stretch after a run?
No. And it's one of the worst habits I know that I've got, because I could have done this easy run today and just stretched and probably be in a bit less discomfort than I'm in now if I'd have just stretched. So yeah, no, I don't.
It's okay. So we worked out you don't stretch. Okay. I religiously stretch after every run. I make sure that I do a stretching routine. It's not nothing major. It's just making sure that I'm releasing my muscles back to their relaxed state so they can fully repair. But along with your with no stretching, have you got a foam roller? Do you do any foam rolling?
I've got a foam roller. Let's just leave it at that. I do self massage, if that counts. Sounds a bit weird. Sounds a bit sinister. Sounds a bit creepy. That I do a bit of self massage when nobody's watching. I'm doing it now on the podcast when you're not looking. Where are your hands going, Andy? But no, I'm a absolute mess of a human being, of a runner. I've got a foam roller, but I'll be honest, mate. I've been in too much pain to foam roll because I know how much it would hurt to go on the foam roller today. Maybe I'm just being a massive wimp.
But that is exactly what would help the recovery and stop it from hurting.
Is being friends with me really annoying?
No.
It really must be. I can see it in your eyes. It's like, I must be the most annoying person.
As I say, I've done all of this before, so it's not like I am this. I do sound like a know-it-all sometimes, but I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. I'm trying to give you advice or guidance on how you can improve what you're already doing, and you're doing the right things, but then you're just missing out little things that could really help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Well, I know you're right. I
Because if you're like, if you were in pain and really tight and your muscles weren't right, you'd go for a massage. You'd go
yeah.
for a sports massage. Foam rolling is basically like having a sports massage, just not as intense. So,
Mm,
and it's not like you have to really put loads of like force into that foam rolling. You can just gentle foam roll, and it will ease out your muscles and loosen them up, and it will make you feel 10 times better.
mm,
Just 10 minutes rolling around on your legs on that foam roller, just
so
hitting
what?
each of your muscles.
Yeah, it's probably a bit less weird than the creepy self massaging.
No, self massaging on your hamstrings is brilliant, especially when you just sat doing nothing, like when you're watching TV, just getting your hands into your hamstrings and
It's just so weird, isn't it?
basically doing a come to me on
Yeah,
either side of your
but
leg
I tell,
across the muscle. So
I tell.
if that's your leg, you need to be doing it like that across your muscle.
Okay. Well, I tell you what is weird. I feel like I can feel in my hamstrings right now little microscopic tears. Like I feel like I can literally feel where the muscle has been torn as is trying to
Mhm.
repair. And
Yeah.
which is one of the main reasons I think doing a hard 5K would be a bad idea tomorrow
Yes, it would. Yeah.
because
It needs to recover.
yeah,
But what you've got to remember is those microscopic tears are what build your muscle.
mm,
So when like bodybuilders train, they are lifting weights and pushing resistance to cause those microscopic tears that then repair within the muscle and build the muscle and make it bigger and
yeah.
stronger.
Hence the copious amounts of protein shakes and roast chickens that they must
Yes.
get through. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
remember, you're a runner, so and a long distance runner, so you don't necessarily want to get big. That's one of the reasons I don't do much weight training. I
yeah,
do mostly body weight S&C. I
yeah,
put weights into a couple of the exercises, but I don't do much weight training because I don't want to build too much muscle.
yeah.
And obviously, I want to build enough muscle to be able to run faster, but I don't want to
Mm.
overbuild muscle to the point where it gets heavier and then stops my speed improving.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying because this is a slightly sideways going off piste. But like, did you see a photograph of Emile Caress this week running the Olympic marathon?
Yeah,
And there was, I don't know if it was the way the light or the sun caught him, but he looked so lean,
yeah,
but so skinny.
yeah,
But but you like his bicep looked like it looked like a little bit of skin on his skeleton, if you know what I mean. It was like, yeah. But I just think, how can someone that lean and that like brittle almost be that strong up
yeah.
those hills and across that distance for that long?
And it's all to do with the fact that that strength and conditioning and the the mileage that he's running and
Yeah,
those hills that he's running all go together to like yeah make the body durable. But
mm,
if you look at him compared to a sprinter, so you look at Noah Lyles,
yeah,
Noah Lyles isn't very tall, but he's like a beefcake compared to
yeah,
Emil Caress.
yeah,
And that's the different type of thing because sprinting is all about being explosive and being strong, and it's a strength sport,
yeah.
whereas long distance running is all about endurance.
Have they even got time in that 10 seconds to become anaerobic, if you know what I mean? To
Oh,
get,
it's completely anaerobic.
is it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's not aerobic, it's complete power.
yeah. Yeah.
for those 10 seconds. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's why Attenborough will tell you that, you know, leopards, tigers, or whatever leopards and cheetahs can't run for a massive amount of distance
Yeah.
because they'll run out of steam because
Yeah.
they're built for short, sharp bursts of speed, aren't they?
Yeah.
Explosive power, like you say. Did you see on that subject, right? Something somebody shared. I wish I could remember who it was. I saw a video of Linford Christie training for Barcelona '92, and it was brilliant. It was like shot on like a Super 8 style, like it was really VHS and wavy. It looked amazing, and it was a plyometric thing of him doing hurdles. So starting from his starting blocks, but hurdling on one leg as quickly as he could. So he'd do 2 or 3 massive hops, then he'd hop over a hurdle, and then the camera would pan across him doing like, I don't know, probably wasn't 100 meters, like 50 meters of him like hammering this thing with on one leg. And it was like complete, and it just said Linford Christie plyometric training, Barcelona '92 or whatever it was. And I was like, wow, that looks
Yeah.
like intense.
Yeah. It's like I saw a post the other day about a Olympic high jumper, and
Yeah.
it was like some of his training, and it was ridiculous because they were on a track and they were hurdling to get that spring in their legs, but the hurdles were higher than them, so they
Oh
were
my God.
taller than they actually are, and they were hurdling over hurdles. It was
What,
mental.
landing it on their feet?
Yeah, and just carrying on and then jumping the next one. It was mental. I'm going to see if I can find it to show you, because
Did they get the sort of height of like a spring lamb in a field?
like that, yeah.
Because you know when lambs all of a sudden just turn into like Harrier jump jets, they just go about 100 foot in the air. You thought,
Yeah.
how are you doing this? Yeah, different breed. Those guys, was it high jump or long jumpers? Those high jumpers, obviously.
It was high jumper. Here we go.
Yeah,
So this is him.
that is how. That is mental. That is the most mental thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's mad, isn't it?
Oh, that would be funny. I'd love to have a go at that with me DOMs at the moment.
But that's what they need to do their sport. They need to be explosive off that jump to be able to high jump.
Yeah. Are you good at the old plyometric stuff? Are you good at? Do you ever do like that sort of training, like box jumps and mountain? Not mountain climbers, but do you ever do any of that sort of stuff?
No, because I am so focused on the longer distance. You don't really need that explosiveness as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really do that. I'm more about trying to build endurance than that. Yeah. Explosive nature. I possibly should do some, but I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know, going back to my 5K, what I did last week, when you want to kick at the end of a 5K?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like how? How do you do that? Because I just find the whole thing a sprint. Like when you did your sub 10 3K?
Yeah.
And you found it within you to go sub 10.
Yeah.
You must have surely needed a bit of that Linford Christie. You must have really needed some power.
You just have to dig deep and just know that it's going to be over soon. But the pain, I keep on saying the pain. It's not the pain. The discomfort you feel when you do that is horrible. But the end is going to be done soon, and you have to click that thing in your head that says, can I endure this pain for the next minute and be happy that I tried and got to the finish? Or do I give up and then kick myself because I didn't quite achieve what I wanted?
Yeah.
And it's that thing of, can you flick that switch to go, no, I am going to carry on pushing. Yes, I'm in. This is uncomfortable, and I don't really like the way it feels. But when I cross that finish line, it's going to be all over. So can I, for the next 60 seconds, push harder than I am right now? And you've just got to get to that point where you go, right, let's go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I always try and, no matter how badly a race has gone, I always try and, or a park run, I always try and pride myself on trying to at least finish stronger than, or that's the fastest little bit of running I've done all day. But did you see the Edgbaston Parkrun video I did with that girl I tried to overtake at the end? I tried to Safan Hassana, and she was having none of it. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there was a girl I tried to reel in foolishly for the final sprint of a parkrun, and I thought I could do her on the inside, and she just kicked and made me look a fool. And I need to work. I think I need to work on mental toughness. I think, but the only way I can think of doing that is by keeping on doing these hard 5Ks.
And that's it. That's the exact thing. Know how it feels, and when you get to that feeling, see if you can push through it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And just keep on doing that until your brain goes, right, this is going to be horrible for the next however many meters, but I know I've got a kick here. I know I can push a bit further.
Yeah. But yeah, that pretty much, by the way, brings me to the end of my my week so far, because I've got this parkrun plan tomorrow with a few. I'll do a bit of a warm up, and then I'll probably do either a 5 or 5 mile or something when I come home, because I need to do a bit of a top up, because I've got a Sunday long run, which I'm probably going to do around about 23k. So that's probably about 14 miles, 15 maybe. Somewhere between 23 and 25. And that's going to be nice and simple. That's going to be nice and easy. I maybe might try and drop a couple of steady miles in there if I feel like it. But it's largely at the moment for this Valencia week, my long runs are staying nice and easy. Just I don't want to overcomplicate it yet.
Also, you want to just be careful with your hamstrings. If they are feeling tender, don't get pushing it. So if you do go on this long run, then and it doesn't feel right, don't push it up to those steady miles. Just take it nice and easy.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, so I'm going to get up nice and early and get that done on Sunday morning. And that will hopefully take me to 70k for the week, which will be about 45, 42 miles, something like that, I think. So yeah, that's going to be me.
So what are you hoping to peak at this time?
I want to try and peak slightly higher than Newport. When Newport was about 107k, so 63 miles, something like that. I want to try and get to 115 this block. So I'm incrementally increasing by 5k each week. And then I'm going to have a deload week 4, because that's the week of Worcester City runs, which I signed up to the other day. So I remembered I haven't signed up to it yet.
I still need to, yeah.
You should be okay, because I don't think the event ever sells out, but this could be the year that it does. But you should be okay, I think, leaving it till the last minute. The only reason I wanted to do it because I wanted to have my name on my bib. That's the only reason I did it, and I can't be bothered with the faff of getting it in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to have a deload week 4, and then beyond that, because a bit like Newport and Manchester for you, I've got an idea of sessions I want to do throughout the week. I've got an idea of the volume I need to hit and how I'm going to do it and what shape I want my graph to be. And what I do within that week is largely up to me and how I feel. So it's not coached. It's not a training plan I'm doing. It's purely just my own thing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Good.
Let's talk about you for a bit. I feel like I've been under the microscope for an hour and 23 minutes here. It's Friday night therapy session for me, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Well, as I say, my week it'll be pretty quick to go through it. So, obviously, I took a week off last week, so I totaled 10 miles last week, which I did on the Monday, just nice and easy, and then I took the rest of the week off. I did. I drove down to the gym and did what's it called? Did some on the cross trainer on last Tuesday, not this Tuesday, last Tuesday, and did some S&C, but that was it then. So I did nothing else for the rest of the week. And then on Monday this week, I got out and did 5 miles up to my shop to then do a bit of work while I was there, and then ran 5.5 miles back. Just nice and easy, like zone 1, zone 2 sort of running. So just to get back into it. So that was 10.5 miles that day. Then Tuesday this week, I didn't want to go down to session because I thought after having a week off, I don't want to push it too much straight away.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to go onto the track and push it too much and then just do my gluten again. So I thought I'd go out and just try and pick up the pace a little bit, just on a run out. So on Tuesday, I went and did 10 mile, and I ended up doing an average of 7:03 a mile. But I started off the run with an 8:09 just to warm up into it, and then a 7:42. So yeah, just to get into the run, and then I did a 7:16 for the third mile, and then the rest of them were just a bit slower than marathon pace. So I did 6:53, 6:47, 6:55, 6:50, 6:50, 6:35, and a 6:31. So yeah, decent, nice progression into like a tempo-y sort of run. It's like in between steady and tempo, a bit closer to tempo than steady. So I was quite pleased with that. And then did my cross trainer and me S&C again, and then ran home. And then yesterday, again, I didn't want to go down to session for the same reason. So I ran two miles down to the Abbey Stadium to say hello to the guys who were off to do their track session. And then I decided to do 6 mile at about tempo-ish pace again, and then 4 miles steady. So I ended up doing 12 miles at an average of 7:10 a mile. But I did get down to 6:30 on my fastest mile, but that 6:30 was uphill, and my effort pace was just under 6-minute miling. So like my gap pace. So I was quite pleased with that. But yeah, I'll show you the elevation. I didn't realise what it would actually look like until I've finished, and that was the elevation. So yeah, there was some nice spicy hills in that. But yeah, so that was good. And then I again did my cross trainer and my S&C, and then ran home. But I did get on the cross trainer and forgot to start my watch. And because I like my Strava, because my my OCD with my Strava graphs, I wanted half an hour on the cross trainer, so I ended up doing 40 minutes on the cross trainer once I started my watch. But yeah, it was good. The hip feels better. It's the pain that was in my glute that I was getting every time I was running isn't as bad anymore. I would say that pain has pretty much gone, but I've still got some discomfort in my hip and my lower back and my glute. So there's some discomfort there, but it's not pain, which is good. But on Tuesday, I I got some pain in my groin or my hip flexor and in my lower abs. So that's not great.
Really?
So I think partly from not running, I'd not been using my hip flexor on my hip, so it had got a bit stiff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it is better now. It's not as bad, but it's just a little bit tender.
It's
So
not.
it's getting there.
It's not a bloody hernia, is it?
Well, this is the thing. So I don't know if I've never said this on the pod, but I'm sure I've said to you in the past that my lower abs every now and then flare up and are quite painful, to the point where I can't sit up in bed without using my hands to sit up. And
Wow.
when I cough, it's like really painful. And
Yeah.
it's not like when people build their abs and have like a
Yeah.
six pack, it's the
Yeah.
ones below that. So just
Yeah.
above your, like where your pubic bone is.
Quite low
Um,
down.
yeah. And I've had that now for, well, it started in July last year, and it's there for a couple of weeks and then goes away for a bit and then comes back, and it's been a constant. And I've mentioned it to a few people and they've said, "Are you sure that's not like a sports hernia?" And I'm like, "Nah, it goes away, it goes away." But I've had lots of people say, "You need to go and get that checked out." So I possibly need to go to the doctors and get it checked out, because it keeps on coming back. But
Mm.
it then goes away and I'm like, "Oh no, it's gone now." So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, there's me giving you lots of advice about not pushing through bad things. But I've had this now for over a year, and I really do need to go and get it checked out in case it is the start of a sports hernia or something like that.
Must be annoying when it's constantly coming and going, though.
Yeah,
So you think, "Oh, I'm
and
out of the woods again. I'm all right," and then
yeah,
bang.
and sometimes it is really bad, to the point, where I can't lift myself up just using my stomach muscles. I have to use my hands to push myself up while I'm in bed.
Do the symptoms come after anything in particular, like a hard workout
N-
or a long
Not
run
really.
or
No, not really. And then
okay.
when I work out, like do core workouts and stuff, they can be a bit sore. So they're
Yeah.
sore while I'm doing it, but then afterwards, like the next day, it feels a bit better.
Yeah.
But I reckon that's because the other core muscles around it are supporting it a bit better. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I probably should go and get it checked out. But
Yeah.
you've got to find time to go and see a doctor, and then you've got to get in with a doctor, which isn't easy now. Getting a GP appointment is quite difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. But what I will say is, I've done all of my runs this week in the new shoes, in the Supernova Prima.
Nice.
So all 35 mile that I've run this week have been in these. Now, I bought these as my recovery day shoe.
Yeah.
So they were the replacement for my Supernova Rise. And I thought that's all they were going to be. I have run faster in the Supernova Rise, so I have run a bit quicker and done a couple of sessions in them and stuff. But they are definitely an easy to steady shoe, the Supernova
Yeah.
Rise. That's where they feel the best, when you're just nice plodding along.
Yeah.
Whereas these Supernova Prima, they're not the lightest things in the world. They're quite a considerable bulky shoe, because they've got a lot of padding around the back of the heel, around the sides. It's got padding in the tongue. It's quite a thick material for the upper, but they feel pretty good all the way down to marathon pace.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I'd say they probably sit in a similar place as your is it the Velocity Nitro you've got, the Pumas?
Yeah, the Pumas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are
So
they
they
quite
probably sit
heavy?
in a... Sorry, say again.
Are they quite heavy? Do they
Yeah,
feel heavy?
they don't feel heavy, but you can tell the difference between this and a normal daily shoe,
Yeah.
or it's especially a race shoe, you can feel the difference. But it's not a particularly heavy shoe. It just
Yeah.
But I'm well
Yeah.
impressed with them. I'm really impressed.
While we're on the subject of shoes, last week I texted you saying Nike have released the first shoe in years since the Vaporfly 2, which I bought, that I've fancied having a go on. And it was the Nike Pegasus Plus.
Yes.
And
which is the new version of the Turbo.
yeah, but I watched a Ben Parks review on it, and they said, and it looks like the outsole department and the branding departments have not talked to each other, because he said that on the bottom of the shoe it says Turbo 4, but the shoe is not called that. It's called the Pegasus Plus, because there was a Turbo 2, there was a Turbo 2, then there was this Turbo Next Nature, which wasn't even the Turbo 3, which tanked. Loads of people, including a couple of people that I knew, that bought it and didn't like it.
So the reason people, apparently the reason, obviously I've never run in Nike, so I wouldn't know, but the reason people didn't like the Next Nature is because it was all chopped up bits of Zoom X foam that were then glued together. So half of the midsole was Zoom X foam and half of it was glue. So it was like the eco shoe, because it was the Next Nature eco shoe. So it used recycled materials for the upper, but then it was recycled bits of Zoom X that were on the cutting room floor from making all the other shoes that they then chopped up and put into a mold with some glue.
It's a bit cheeky, really.
It feel very good.
Yeah. Apparently, it just felt, I can't remember if it was too firm or the stack was too low, or I can't remember what people were saying. But I mean, even Ben Park said with this Pegasus Plus, he said maybe not even up to half marathon, this thing wouldn't feel too good. So he said it might just be a daily trainer for sessions or something at most.
Because the Turbo was his favourite shoe ever, he says.
Yeah, that was pre running days for me, so I never even got a chance to even know what that was even like. But they discontinued it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Maybe it was because they had the Vaporfly and the Alphafly on the offing, and they were just thinking, well, we need to launch these super shoes, because that would that have been about 2016, 2017, that Turbo 2,
probably
sort of thing.
Somewhere around there, yeah. Because
these plated super shoes didn't really get popular, did they? We mentioned this before, until fairly recently, really.
Yeah.
It's an explosion within the last 5 years, isn't it?
Was it 2017, something like that? The 4%, the first ever super shoe.
Oh, the next percent one.
No,
was it called 4%?
No, so it was called the 4%.
Oh,
I'm sure it was anyway.
Right. Okay. I would literally.
I'm going to Google it to make sure I'm not spouting off rubbish.
I'd be genuinely interested to see what previous winners of like marathon majors had worn pre super shoe days. I'd be genuinely interested.
Yeah, so it was the Nike Vaporfly 4% was the first.
Oh, right. Okay.
First super shoe.
We had an email.
And began retailing in 2017. So I got that right as well. Yes.
That's good knowledge.
That'll please Gary Manders. That's something I was going to say when we get to our comments.
I was just about to say, didn't Gary write in once and said there was a super shoe released in like the 90s, but everyone was like, "What's this rubbish?"
Yeah.
So it didn't sell or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Also, in response to his comment from the last episode, so Gary commented on the last video saying, "I'm going to be irritating yet again," and put a correction into something stated. Now, Gary, you're not being irritating. If I get something wrong, tell me. I don't care if you tell me I'm wrong. That's not irritating. That's correcting me and making sure I tell the truth. If I say something that's stupid, make sure you let me know that I've said something stupid. So yeah, not irritating at all. I think it's great that you've actually piped up and told us what the truth was. But he said Emil Caress didn't equal the best marathon position in the Olympics by a Brit. Apparently, Charlie Spedding came third, got the bronze in 1984. We also took silver in 1964 with Basil Heatley, and then apparently we won a medal in 1948 as well in the marathon. So, yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So yeah, thanks for that, Gary. But yeah, if I do this podcast, we just get on and just start chatting rubbish. So there probably is a lot of things that people sit there and listen and go, "What are they talking about? Where have they got this information from?" So yeah, don't think that you can't correct us. I'm not sitting here being like the oracle of everything. I'm just repeating things I've heard or read or things that I've found out through doing what I do. So yeah. But what were you saying about the Pegasus Turbo?
Yeah, I just like pure and simple. I just like the look of it, and I think I'll see Rich at Parkrun tomorrow. I wonder if he'll wear them. But they look quite cool. But he did say that I don't know if this is cool or a design fault or what. But there's like a red. I don't know if it's in all of the shoes or just the one colorway. But the one that I've seen looks like a bowling shoe, which is it does actually look quite cool though. It's like a white upper with a red stripe down the laces and carries on through to the toe. And Ben Parks, in his review of it, said, if you've got a toe, a particularly oversized big toe, or you have a toe that sort of slightly points, or you have feet that slightly point in, he said you could get into a bit of discomfort because you could feel the stitching from the stripe.
Oh, okay.
And it could give you a bit of irritation if you wear the shoe for too long. So I'd be generally quite interested if anyone's bought a pair of those Pegasus Plus.
I've got to say that white and orangey red colorway are pretty good. They do look real nice. But that other colorway, the other colorway they've released, oh my god, they're horrendous.
Was that like blue and purple or
oh man, blue, purple, and red, I think they are. They're disgusting. The design department on that one dropped the ball big time.
I think the white and red will be the big sellers. I'd be quite interested to know if anyone's got any thoughts on them. Why don't we ask our listeners if anyone is in marathon training or just running in general? What do you think is the best value for money daily trainer at the moment? Because I've got the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. Of course, I'm not a running shoe reviewer, so I don't get to run in all sorts of different things. I just see one and take and plump for it and go for it. And it's as simple as that. So that was the one that caught my attention. I think I watched an Ed Budd review on it, and that was the clincher because he said it was really good. And so far, I've got to say, I've done about 80K in it, maybe not quite 50 mile, but about like 65, so about 40 mile. And I'm really genuinely really enjoying it, especially on the easy and the steady stuff. Well, I haven't even done steady, especially on the easy and the recovery stuff. It feels really nice and plush, and love the lacing, love the upper, love everything about it. So yeah, if you've got any brands, whether Brooks or Nike or Adidas, let us know.
I almost messaged you the other day because I saw the Puma DV8 Nitro 2, so not the Elite, just the DV8 Nitro, but the second model for about 45 quid. I know.
Brand new or
no, brand new.
God. In decent sizes or in like size 4?
In your size. That's why I almost messaged you and then went, oh no, he's just bought a couple of pairs of shoes. I can't.
Was this the shoe that Mark Hurdy-Gurdy wrote in about, or is that the DV8 Nitro 3? Elite 3.
That was the Elite. So this is just the DV8 Nitro, not the Elite.
So it's like a tempo shoe. It's not a race day shoe.
So it's a daily shoe. So it'd be the equivalent to like a Boston 12 in
Yeah.
the Adidas, or what would it be in the Nike range?
I don't even know what Nike. It's not a street fly, is it? Because that's a racing shoe. Probably
Yeah, I ain't got a clue what Nike shoes are out there.
it'd be a peg,
Terrible,
wouldn't it? A basic Pegasus, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God knows. I don't know.
But
Yeah, let us know what you're wearing.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, what do you think is the best value for money, shoe wise, at the moment? Shall we quickly, because I did start with Gary. Shall we go through some of the comments that we've had recently?
Yeah, do you want to do
After
YouTube comments and?
Yeah. So last couple of videos. So from episode 28, so 2 back, we had our first comment was from Matthew Morris, who said, "Excited for this. Thanks, guys." So thank you very much, Matthew, for your comment.
Cheers, Matt.
And then Mac, friend of the podcast, Mac, put great company on the long run as always. Cheers. So cheers for that, Mac. So this is a good one, which is for you, Andy. And I think one of the things I'm going to have to do each Friday is give you a film recommendation from the 80s and 90s, and make sure you sit down and watch it before the next episode. Because so
Okay.
this is from Nick dash PK4SQ, and he says San Dimas is where Bill and Ted live. First, no knowledge of Mac and me. Now this, some 80s film catch-ups are in order. So when you were saying San Dimas time, I didn't know what you were saying because you said Sandimas time, and I was like, "What is Sandimas?" But Sandimas.
When I was reading out,
you were reading out a comment about, and somebody said about Sandimas time, and you said Sandimas time, and I was like, I don't know what he's reading there, but it was Sandimas, which is where Bill and Ted are from. So
have I exposed myself as a totally non-bogus guy?
or a bogus guy?
Yeah, bogus guy. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give you a film recommendation each week and make sure you watch it. Then we've had a comment from Run Like a T-Rex, who said, "Great pod, guys. Thanks very much for the really in-depth answers, advice, and feedback. Much appreciated." No problem at all, Dave. And then Mark G, absolute best running pod there is. Brett's knowledge and enthusiasm for all things running is a joy to behold. Ah, Mark, that's nice. Thanks, mate. And couldn't believe it when Andy gave me a shout out. My little daughter thinks I'm famous now. Cheers.
You are famous, Mark.
Yes, you are indeed. Amazing. Thank you, mate. And then Lee Chesterton says, any of you guys think there's something a little strange about how well the Americans ran? I guess this was at the Olympics. Many running PBs, not by the odd second, but a lot. Hocker ran a 3-second PB. Nagoose ran about 2 seconds PB in the 1500. Hooker or Hooks in the 3000 steeplechase, a 10-second PB. The guy in the 10,000, which was, come on, Brett, you were talking about him last week.
Fisher.
Yeah, Grant Fisher. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for jogging my memory. Grant Fisher in the 10,000 ran amazingly well, as did the 400-meter guy. It seemed like every American PB'd. Many so-so runners turned into medalists, seemingly running quicker in the final third when others were slowing, seemingly not affected by lactic acid. Could just be sour grapes on my part, but I would be interested in what you guys think. Now, I'm hoping he meant, in that last sentence, I'm hoping he meant sour grapes and not sour grapes, because if you've got sour grapes, you might need to go and see the doctors like I do with my stomach. But yeah, so it might be sour grapes, but I would be interested to know what you guys think. So yeah, lots of people from the American team, did run really, really, really well. But I think what you've got to take into consideration with the Americans is the fact that it is so hard to get on the American team that you've really got to up your game to even get on the team, let alone run well at the Olympics. So the pressure's on. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them were thinking, this is my time to shine, because in 4 years' time, I might not even be here because the competition is so intense in America.
It's a good thought, actually. Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee that you're going to get through.
The pool of athletes that they must have to choose from in America must be. I mean, I know it's not even the most massively populated country in the world, behind like maybe China, but the investment that probably goes into US athletics as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if
Must
you
be
think
massive.
about it, the college system, the amount of people from all around the world that go to an American college for athletics to do track and field is crazy, and they all get scholarships to go over there.
Yeah.
Because the college system within track and field is so good in America, and the coaches are so good. So if you're competing on that level week in, week out during the college season, when it gets to American trials, you've got the older guys who aren't at college anymore, who have turned pro, competing, along with the top of the crop from the college system, all competing. And their American trials is like a little mini Olympics. Some of the times and stuff they're doing, and the competition that's there is crazy.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be an American athlete. You can imagine the fierce competition
and the pressure on you. You've got that whole country like expecting you to do well.
I don't think there's any foul play there, is there really? Because I mean, you think about Olympic standards and the rigorous testing they must have to go through. It must just be, it must all be above. It's obviously all above board.
Well, you would hope so anyway.
You'd
so.
hope so. But that is strange. If there's been a massive lot of anomalies, I guess, that of a lot of Americans getting massive PBs. But
yeah.
Who knows?
Then we had a comment from episode 26 when I was talking about my Boston 12s and the wear patterns on the bottom. Steve Oxocube says, Brett, those wear patterns on your shoes, do you wear them on the track a lot? Think about it, you're constantly turning left on the track. And I saw that and thought, it's a good point. I have used my Bostons quite a bit on the track. Not all the mileage in them was on the track, because I used these as my long run session shoe for the Manchester build up. So all of my long runs where I was like doing a marathon session were done in these shoes. But I have worn them on the track quite a bit. So I went to all my other pairs of shoes, and pretty much all of my shoes have got exactly the same wear pattern, including my Supernova Rise, which have never seen the track, and I've only ever run I'd say 95% of the mileage in them has been easy. I think the wear patterns are just from my weird stride.
Got to be, isn't it?
But that was a good thing to point out, and it did make me go, oh, I wonder if that is something to do with it. But no, it's just the way I run. And then our last couple of comments, we've had one from Thomas O'Connell 6325, and he says, hi Andy, what kind of 5k specific training do you do?
Turn up on a Saturday and run for my life.
That's
basically what it is.
Yeah, that, and you've just started track.
Kettlebells. One kettlebell class.
Yeah, smash a kettlebell class and then try and run a 5k PB. No, Do you do anything specific, or is it just the track stuff that you've started to do that you would say was specific?
If I'd have done a summer of speed, as a lot of people did, then I probably would have done less volume, less long runs, faster intervals and I don't know what else I would have done because I've never trained for a 5K. But no, I'm in marathon training. I always seem to prioritize longer distance stuff, and hopefully the 5K. Hopefully my times, my big four, as I like to call them, 5, 10, half, and marathon. Hopefully they all move forward at the same time in terms of PBs and stuff. But no, the onus for me at the moment really is on marathon and half marathon. So I've got, in fact, half marathon is the mini target within the marathon block at the moment because I've got one coming up. The Worcester City runs in just over 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, which I do want a PB on. So the longer distance stuff is the stuff I concentrate on. No, do I concentrate? I don't do any 5K specific training. That's the unfortunate answer. So I can't really moan when I don't get a 5K PB.
Yeah. Okay. And then our final comment is from Lee Rogers, 6088, who says, "Thanks to you guys, I'm now watching back-to-back episodes of Beard Meets Food."
Awesome.
Which, yeah, I will hold my hands up and say, yeah, sorry about that, but you will get addicted and you will end up watching all of his videos. During lockdown, I went back through his back catalogue and rewatched every video on his channel during lockdown. Yeah, it was a bit bad, but there we go.
That's one of the reasons. Not that anyone would ever do that to mine, but I quite like to number my. I've always numbered my vlogs for some reason.
Yes,
because I like to see them in an. So maybe when I've done 1,000 one day, I can watch the first one, the 500th one, and then the 1,000th, and see if there's been any progress. Hopefully there has. But Beard Meets Food, some good stuff there. I imagine you watched it and then instantly felt really hungry and treated yourself to 12 Big Macs or something. So we've had a couple of emails as well that I was going to rattle through.
Yeah, I am conscious of time, but let's go through
them. Well, we've only got 2 to read through, and the first one is from D Cook Reese, and she says, "Hi Brett and Andy, enjoyed the latest podcast, and I think I will miss you two talking about the Olympics as much as the games themselves."
Oh.
I always listen. That's awesome. Yeah, I always listen to the podcast on my long runs, and as the runs are now increasing in distance because she's in Yorkshire marathon training, 2 hours isn't long enough. So feel free to make it longer. Your wish has been you've been granted because we're on for about a 2:05 here.
Yeah.
She says, I do listen to other running podcasts too, but the other podcasters all seem to be off on their summer holidays. Best wishes, D Cook Reese. So cheers for that, D. Nice one.
Amazing. Thank you. We always say it every week, don't we? That we'll try and keep it a bit shorter this week, but never happens.
There's a few things I haven't even mentioned. I've written some things here. The Tommy D 5K PB, Great North Run.
Oh, yes.
Entered Worcester. I did mention that. So we've got a couple more things to enter. Okay, to talk about. This is from James Sleet. This came through today from Jimbo. He says, "Hi guys, great work on the podcast. Always entertaining and full of good stuff. To answer Andy's question, I usually listen while I'm working from home. I just have a quick question on shoes. I know you guys never get bored of talking about them. Currently, half marathons are the longest runs that I've completed, but I've signed up to a 20-mile race next March. I won't have any time expectations, so I just need a shoe basically for comfort on the longer runs. Do you have any suggestions? I've just been using a pair of everyday runners from New Balance, which have been fine, but I want to treat myself to something new for the step up to 20 miles. Keep up the good work and the great running. Cheers, James." Well, it's a minefield, to be honest, isn't it?
Because there's a difficult one. Yeah, because it all depends on how quickly you want to run it as well. Because if you want that comfort and you don't care about time, then possibly one of the chunkier, higher stack shoes would be where it's at. But if you want to go a bit quicker, then maybe treat yourself to a lighter weight more race focused shoe, which are still going to be comfortable over the longer distance, but are going to give you a bit more performance.
The Adidas Adios Pro 3 is surprisingly comfortable. If you can get your hands on a pair of them, because apparently the Adios Pro 4 is coming out soon, which hopefully means the
Yes.
3s will come down in price. So they're one that we are both tried and tested. We both run marathons in them. We both love them. And yeah, they're surprisingly comfortable and they give you a lot of energy return as well. So what I'm basically trying to say is they give you a little bit of, they pay you back for the energy you bring. They will make your life easier on a long run. As long as you bring the effort, they will pay you back.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you wanted to look at something like super stacked, like maybe I've heard good things about the Brooks, is it the Hyperion Max or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. That they are supposed to be good.
I've heard some good things about them.
Yeah, and I suppose it also depends on whether you want to stay race legal. But as a amateur runner, you can run in anything. So if you went up to something like the Prime X, which are super high stack but really comfortable. Yeah, what's the other one as well that people say are really good? What's the Asics one? Not the Nova Blast. What's the Super Blast? Yeah, people say that one's really good.
Another one that's a bit of an all-rounder that you could have a look at is a Saucony Endorphin Pro Endorphin Speed 3. Sorry, Speed 4 is the latest model out. I've got the Speed 3s, loved them. I even had the 2s, loved them. But apparently the 4s are just as good. So you could look at the Endorphin range, the Endorphin Speed range. But if you want to stick with Saucony, you can look at the Pro range, which is the race shoe, which are a little bit firmer. And they're equally good, apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's that decision between max cushioning or lighter weight daily shoes, or that bit more performance and go for a super shoe type thing. But yeah, it's working out what you want from the shoe. Now I know he said that he doesn't really care about pace and he wants that comfort. So yeah, it could be that you go for a more max stack shoe, and see what happens. As I say, these have been great. I wouldn't use them for anything more than marathon pace, and I'd say over the marathon distance, they probably would get a bit heavy on your feet. But comfort wise, I can't fault them. They've been really comfy. That's why I'm going to use them as my recovery shoe, because at that steadier pace, they just feel really good.
Yeah. Ask yourself that question, James. Do you want to go fast or do you want to have a good time? Do you want to just have a nice comfy ride, or do you want to just really see what you can do on the day? And that might help your decision get made for you. We don't really know. We would love to give you advice, but
yeah. Well,
at the end of the day, you just got to go with your gut, haven't you?
Yeah, if you do make that decision, just send us another email and say this is what you want to do, and we'll have another chat through shoes. As you said, we could chat shoes all week. So we'll never not answer a question about shoes.
We're not. Are we going to have time to do the Strava segment?
Yeah, I'm just going to go through it very, very quickly. Whilst we are doing it, as you said, we do need to give a shout out to Tommy D, who managed to achieve a 5K PB this week in the Try Hard Harriers 5K by the Bay, or 5K on the Bay.
11-second PB, apparently.
Yeah. I think he ran, what was it, 17:42?
I've got 36 here.
Oh, 17:36, even better. Yeah. Look at that. 17:36, amazing. That's great running, that is, mate. So congratulations, Tommy. And let's have a quick look at our Strava segment. So leaderboard. Our last week's leader was Nicholas Forsman, who ran a total of 80.2 mile. So great running there, Nicholas. Second
80 mile.
Yeah,
That's like
80.2 mile.
it's about 140k in it. Bloody hell, that's a long way. Fair play.
Second was Michael Roderick, Mike Rodders, who actually won the 5k by the Bay in
Good lad.
15 something ridiculous.
Amazing.
He ran a total of 71.8 mile last week, and then Alan Nutton was in third with 64.6 miles.
Well done.
And then climbing wise, we had we had Roberto Mendez at the top with 7,297 feet of elevation gain.
Where does he live? Merthyr Tydfil. Bloody hell.
Sounds crazy. So yeah, if that's real, that's incredible. And then Michael Roderick was in second with 4,498 foot, and Stephen Smith in third with 4,137 foot. So great running by all of those people.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, it's great that we've got so many people on the in the what's it called on Strava? The club. There we go.
Yeah.
In the club on Strava. So if you aren't a member of the Running the Red Line club on Strava, go and join us. And yeah, you never know. One day you might be on the leaderboard and the Strava segment.
Yeah.
Especially with marathon training coming up. Everybody's going to be running high mileage.
Well, that reminds me, because speaking of high mileage, I had my Great North Run number posted to me this week.
Oh,
and I'm going to do a chat about that next week, because I'm hoping to do like a little bit of a meetup. So if anyone's doing the Great North Run, maybe has never done it before and is a little bit anxious about how it all works, we'll chat about that next week, ahead of the big one the week after. And I might even try and see if we can organise a little meetup before, if anybody wants to have a little chit chat beforehand, which will be fun.
Amazing. Right. And on that, we shall call it a night. Slowly, as this podcast has gone on, it's gone from light outside in the window behind Andy and to my left to darkness. So, we shall leave it there.
Tamrat Towler has probably run an Olympic marathon by now, isn't he? What are we at, 205, 206?
Yeah, basically, he won the gold more or less now. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But there we go. So thank you so much for listening or watching, however you consume this podcast. We really appreciate it every week. And we shall see you next week. Cheers, guys.
See you guys. Your dream has come true, D. We're going to make this podcast longer and longer for you. We'll do 3 hours next week.